Welcome back to We Know Texas Vino, a podcast where the Lone Star State meets the vine. I'm your host, Will, and today we're taking you to a deep part of Texas in the wine country, to a place where tradition, terroir, and Texas grit come together at Tor Na Lochs Winery. Nestled in the hill country, Tor Na Lochs is more than just a winery. It's a story of land, craftsmanship, and commitment to making wines that truly speak Texas. In this episode, we'll explore their vineyard philosophy, the wines, and define their styles, and what it really takes to grow and craft in one of the most exciting regions of Texas. So pour yourself a glass, settle in, and get ready, because this is Texas wine, told by the people who live it. This is We Know Texas Vino. Welcome, guys. How y'all doing?
We're great. Very well.
Well, I want to welcome to y'all on the show. Blake, we've already talked before on a different episode with the Texas wine growers. A little powwow we had a couple of months ago. But if you'll start from the left over here, if we can go ahead and introduce ourselves and what you do here.
Yes, I'm Donnie Damonth. I am the tasting room manager here at Tor Na Lochs.
I'm Colby O'Brien. I'm the assistant winemaker as well as the operations manager here at Tor Na Lochs.
And I'm Blake DeBerry. I'm the co-owner of Tor Na Lochs Vineyard and Winery.
Awesome. Again, thank y'all for having me out here. In fact, actually, y'all are going to be the fourth episode of the new season, season 4, which by the time this airs out, we're kicking off our season 4 party at the Hill Country Wine Symposium, which we're here for. So come by and see us. We might have some surprises.
We will be there.
Yeah, we'll be there.
Well, Colby and I'll be there. Donnie's got to work. He can't.
Oh, man.
Someone has to manage.
Hold down.
And somebody got to be here serving wine.
So we got to do a little tour before we came up, and you started telling us the story about how this all came together. So Blake, can you kind of kick off your story and how Tor Na Lochs came about, and where were you before you did this?
Okay. Yeah, sure. Interesting story, at least for me. So, you know, I spent 40 years in the oil field services industry. I'm an engineer by background, but part of that time, 10 years of it, we lived overseas. And while we were living in Aberdeen, Scotland, we decided we wanted a ranch in the hill country to retire on. And it's been a dream of Karen's and mine for many, many years. We grew up in San Antonio, spent all our summers on Lake LBJ. And anyway, if you don't know where Aberdeen, Scotland is, I always tell people it's South North Pole. I mean, it's way up there. So the winters are dark and cold and wet. Other than that, it's perfect. Scenically, incredibly beautiful, but it was a February day, and the sun was not even going to come up that day. The low was 31 and the high temperature was 31. So it was, and I was a little bit grumpy. I said, you know what? We go back this summer on home leave. We're going to find property in the hill country, and I'm going to go find it right now. And Karen, just to placate me, said, yeah, whatever. And I went upstairs, and in 15 minutes, I found this property where we're sitting right now. And I called her up there and says, we're going to buy that one right there. And we did. We came back in July. This was 2004, and we bought the property. By November, we had closed on it. Not really knowing what we would do other than build a house. But we decided we got to name it something. It's a ranch. We got to name it. And so where we're sitting today, we're up on a hill. We're sitting at about 1,200 foot elevation. We overlook the hill country. It's a clear day. You can see Enchanted Rock from here today. But more importantly, more closely, you see Lake Buchanan, Buchanan Dam, and Inks Lake. And so we said, man, it's a hill over lakes. And so we went back to Scotland and said, how do we find the Gaelic words for hill over lakes? And that's what Tor Na Lochs means. It means hill over lakes. Loosely translated, I will say, in case there's anybody listening that's a really Gaelic aficionado. And then you got to fast forward. In 2005, we moved back to Singapore for the second time, spent 6 years there. In 2011, for our 30th anniversary, we went with my cousin and his wife to Australia. And in Singapore, we drank a lot of wine. That's where we became, and I don't mean like drinking problem drinking, but we became very, very intrigued with wine, and started to learn the nuances, but almost all Australian. So very fruit forward, big, bold flavors. I became a Shiraz-aholic. I mean, I just loved, Barossa, McLaren Vale. But our house wine was a Cabernet Sauvignon from a winery called Cape Grace. And so we took this wine tour down to Margaret River. And on one of the days we were driving, Karen was navigating and she just said, turn right here and turn left here. And I was like, where are we going? She goes, we're making a pilgrimage to Cape Grace. And we pulled up, and it was a barn. It was just a simple little barn. We walked inside. It was 2 wine barrels with a big Yarra wood plank table. So that's a big fat tree that makes these big wood planks down there in Australia. And there was a guy standing behind the counter. And, the reality is they're very strict on drinking and driving. So I wasn't tasting. I would taste a little bit and spit, but I was like, y'all do the tasting. And I was just looking around and I looked at some newspaper printings, articles and stuff they had posted. And I'm looking at pictures and I'm looking at the guy and looking at the picture. And it's the owner of the winery is in the tasting room serving the wine. And we ended up spending 4 hours there. He brought his wife down. We had such a great time. He took me and my cousin in the back, said, let me show you how we make the wine. And Robert and Karen are their names. And to this day, if you go to Margaret River and you go into Cape Grace and you say, do you know there's a winery in Texas? And they'll just say yes before you get that far. We're aware. I keep hoping we can get them to come up here someday because I would love to do a wine dinner with them because I think our guests would love it because it's just such part of the story. And as we left that winery, I turned to Karen. I was like, hey, when we retire, we need a little project to keep us busy. And I'm worried about, just stopping work. And I've had so many of my bosses that have passed away really closely after retiring. I was like, I just want something to keep us going. And I said, how about we build a little vineyard and winery on the ranch? And she said yes. And so that's how it all got started. And then we decided we're just going to name it Tor Na Lochs because that's one less thing we have to decide to get it done.
Well, one of the things that you pointed out when we first got here, first off, it's a very clear day. We'll have pictures of this on our social page. But you said we can see Enchanted Rock from right here.
Right.
And you said it's 35 miles away.
It's 35 miles away.
And it is a very clear day. And I'll take a picture of it and I'll actually circle Enchanted Rock in the picture.
Sure. And like I told you, we recently went to Enchanted Rock and hiked to the top. And I was like, okay, I want to know if I can really see it. And I turned around and looked back the other way and we found the winery from there. A little bit harder because Enchanted Rock's pretty obvious. But we did find the winery from there. So
you said it took you 15 minutes to find this location.
Yeah.
So some people say that it's just divine intervention brought you this location.
It absolutely was. And this is one of those stories that people don't believe me when I say it. But when I first loaded the web page that was advertising this property, as the picture came up, flashing up on my screen said, "This is the one." Wow. And that never, ever came back. Only once did that show up. And that's why I was convinced that this is the one. I took that as a sign. Yeah, it was meant to be.
That's crazy. It's happened to me a couple of times. Like, it has to be. This is the one. And I'm like, yeah, should I listen to that? All right. So you found a place. You got your tasting done. So what were the first varietals that you planted?
So we spent. So we moved back to the U.S. in July of 2011. And so the first 6 months of that year, almost every weekend we traveled to different Texas wineries and just took copious notes, not only just tasting the wine, but what's the hospitality experience like, what matches our vision and view, or what did we like, just as a learning tool. And then really in January of 2012, that's when we started physically working on the property. We're on a granite outcrop, right? I mean, we didn't even know, is there enough dirt here to even plant anything? So we spent a lot of time stomping around, and it was thick with cedar, thick. I mean, you're having to weave your way through the cedar trees. And I distinctly remember where the vineyard is now, walking through the cedar trees, and we're like, I don't know. And we have a soil core to take soil we can only get about 18 inches deep. And like, well, is it solid or is that just a stone? We don't know. And I came upon this granite outcrop that's still in the middle of the vineyard. And I'd look, and there's an oak tree that has grown through a solid hunk of granite. And it has about a 400-pound hunk of granite where this little acorn grew in a crack in the granite, and the trunk got big enough and it split the rock. And to this day, that tree is still out there. And there's a stained glass right above your head of that tree in splitting the rock. And I just looked at Karen. I said, if that tree can grow here from an acorn, grapes will grow here. And so that set the area where the vineyard was. And we spent 2 years, mostly me and Karen, on the weekends. We had somebody come out. They cleared 80 acres of cedar. And the one thing we learned is where the cedar was really thick, really dense, there was soil. And so that's when we started looking, hey, let's find those dense areas. Let's clear those areas because it's potential vineyard because there's soil there. And so, so we, like I said, we spent 2 years putting all the infrastructure. There was nothing here. Everybody says, "Oh, did you take it?" No, there was barely a road. So road, power, water wells, everything we had to do and find, and we, gamble. Can we even get enough water? And today, that's still our biggest challenge is water for irrigating. But we found the 3-acre site for the initial vineyard. And we laid that out, and we planted that vineyard in April of 2014. And it's about 50% of that is Syrah. And I told you that I was a Shiraz fan, so now you know why. That's 50% is Syrah. 40% of it is Malbec. And the other 10% is a very small block of Petite Syrah. And we always blend the Petite Syrah into the Syrah. That's just part of our blend. So most of the time, if you see our estate Syrah, it just says Syrah because it's a very small percentage, but it's generally 12 to 15% Petite Syrah in the Syrah, but it is still 100% estate grown. And then we planted in April. In June of 2014, we started construction of the winery building. And that was when pretty much midway through June, Karen's like, I don't have time to be commuting back and forth from Houston. So she stayed up here and I would go back and forth because I was still working in Houston. And so she did all the vineyard work, trained the vines, managed construction, which was an undertaking in and of itself. And then once we opened, she ran the winery for the first 5 years until I retired. And I would just come up on weekends until COVID happened. And then it was work from home. And then I just worked from here. So, but interestingly, we did a lot of work in the vineyard during planting. We augered a 12-inch diameter, 3-foot deep hole for every vine. So there's about 2,000 plants out there. It's a granite sand, decomposed granite and sand mixture. And what we figured out is, there's the granite outcrops from the volcanic era that makes the Llano Uplift, which is where we are. We are on the far northeastern edge of the Llano Uplift. But there's troughs in those outcroppings, and over the centuries, the rock would decompose and the sand would decompose, and it would collect in those low points, and then it would build up thick areas of soil with a lot of sandstone and quartz and all kinds of stuff in there. And so, you don't. Rarely can you dig a hole with a shovel here. I think that's the best way to describe it, isn't it, Colby?
Yeah, you need some equipment.
Yeah, anywhere.
I have serious shovel aversion whenever I have to dig a hole.
It's useless.
And so, but when you find that right area, there's soil for the vines. And then the vines themselves, the roots, they find the cracks in the rock, just like that tree found, that acorn found a little crack with a little dirt, and just the sheer power of the vines growing, it splits. And where those cracks are, that's also where water is for the vines. And so it took many years, but we bored each of those holes, 2,000 of them. Me and my son did that. And we did it on a 3-day weekend, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And we rented this auger machine from the local rental place in Burnett. And I'll never forget, I took it back in, and the guy that owns it, John, he looks at me and goes, Blake, you put 40 hours on this machine in 3 days.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, yeah, we did kind of use it a lot. And he's like, it's 8 hours a day. I was like, well, I said, just charge me for a week. But we never stopped. The machine was always boring a hole. If it needed refuel, one of us is pouring it while it's running. If you needed a break or you needed to eat and somebody stepped on and somebody stepped off, somebody stepped on, we never stopped because we just had to get it done. But once the holes were bored, then we came back and we put 3 scoops of compost in the bottom of that hole. And then we cleared all the loose rock that was in the tailings out of the hole. And we put a scoop of compost in with that. And it was like an army project. When that was done, what did we do? We filled the hole back up.
And you look at it and you're like,
what did we just do? Yeah. And then on the day of planting, we got all the irrigation lines, everything set up. And then, of course, we used above ground drip irrigation. And the emitters are about, 2 feet from the center of the vine. But when you plant the vine, it's just a little bare rooted thing that's 4 or 5 inches in diameter, I was like, well, really, we need water right there, right now. And so if there's 2,000 plants, there's 4,000 emitters. And so we cut a little tube, stuck it on the emitter, and zip tied it to the line. So it dripped right on the plant. So did that. And then each plant we had on planting day, we had probably about 30, 40 people come out, family and friends come out and help us. The whole Martin family from Parasos came out, all their kids and everything else. And they were actually elated. I remember Laura Martin looking at the kids. Isn't it fun planting somebody else's vineyard when we get to just walk away? We don't have to manage. And so, anyway, we planted that vineyard in one day. And one of the things we did is there's I think it's a fungus. I'm not good on this, but mycorrhizae, is that
Yeah.
It's a fungus, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's a beneficial
Mutual relationship.
It's like a parasite on the roots of the vine, but it's beneficial for the roots. So we dipped each vine in this mycorrhizae solution, and then planted it and then irrigated it. And I say all that because nobody believes, but in year 1 in 2014, we were up, pruned, cordon ends clipped, and we had baby shoots coming up in 1 year. And it was you could see the minute, because the water's dripping down this loose dirt from this 12-inch diameter hole. The easy place for the roots to go is down. It wants to chase the water. When it got to the bottom, what did it do? It hit pure compost, which is pure nutrients. And it just created this vigor that made the plant grow. And so in 2015, we came in and pruned in February 2015. And we got our first estate fruit in 2015 on second leaf vines. And I can tell you the trunk of the vine was no bigger than your finger. We got about 3 tons. I think we got 3.1 tons of Syrah and 3.3 tons of Malbec and, 500 pounds of Petite Syrah. But to do that, Karen went through and selectively dropped fruit because we knew the vines were young and couldn't support a lot. So we dropped a bunch of fruit and we made wines with that. And the very first wines we made, we're like, we don't know what we're doing. So we sent them we're supposed to put them in a competition. We put them in the Houston Livestock Show and Rodeo. And I think the Syrah was Reserve Texas class champion. Very first wine we made was 2015 Estate Syrah. Then we put it in Texom, and it won a silver medal in Texom. And if you know anything about Texom, that's some tough judging there to win a silver medal. And I think that's when Seth called me and said, "Do you have any idea what you did?" And I was like, "We got a silver medal in Texom." He goes, "Dude, the silver medal is like Texom's like double gold someplace else." And then we put it in Lone Star, it won double gold. And I'm like, well, I wonder how this wine really does outside the state. So we sent it to San Francisco, and it won a gold medal in San Francisco. And it was the only Texas Syrah to even win a medal in the San Francisco. So it competed equally with wines from all over the U.S. and some international. It wasn't the best wine, but it was a gold medal wine, And that just made us more convicted that Texas wine can compete anywhere. And, I'm more focused now. I want to put our wines in competitions where there is no Texas category. There's just a varietal category. Mm-hmm. I want to compete. Who's got the best Syrah? Who's got the best Roussan? Regardless of where it's from or its origin, and that's, and it's an interesting thing, all this talk about typicity and everything. And the problem is, I think that's one of the challenges for Texas is, our Malbec. I tell people, they say, "Oh, I love Malbec." I said, "What do you drink? Argentinian Malbec?" "Oh, yeah, of course, from, Mendoza." It's like, yeah, this ain't that.
It's completely different.
It's completely different.
I love when people do that. So, you ask them about that, and they're like, "I love XYZ," and you're like, "Yeah, when you drink this, it's not going to be like that."
Yeah. It doesn't mean it's bad. It is so different. I'll never forget, that first harvest. We harvested the Syrah first. It fermented, and it was time to press the Syrah and harvest the Malbec. I'm working in Houston, so we got Saturday, Sunday to get this done, right? And we're thinking, and I'm asking Karen, says, "How much do you think there is?" And we only had 3 little tanks. We had 2 1,900 liter and 1 4,000 liter tank. And I was like, well, if we only get, a ton and a half or something of Malbec, we can do it in this little tank and it'll be fine. No, we got 3.3 tons.
Oh boy.
And we didn't have tank space for it. And I was like, we're going to have to press the Syrah. I've never done that before. So we literally just blind leading the blind, trying to figure out how to make this work. And I'll never forget, Seth Martin called me and it was like 7:00 at night. And he goes, "So how much Malbec did you get?" And I was like, 3.3 tons. And I was like, and he's like, "Are you kidding me?" I said, "No, I got a mess on my hands." And bless his heart, he goes, "I'll be there in 15 minutes. And he came out and he helped us. And when he arrived, and this is no joke, it's almost embarrassing, but we had gotten this, we were pressing the Syrah, and it reached the first cycle in the press where it needed to do a couple of rotations. Come to find out, the company that sold the press admitted that there was a flaw in their program, but it didn't release the pressure first, and it started rotating, and the whole wall and ceiling were coated in wine, where it just spewed out of the press as it's rotating. And I was out of the room. I came in, my son was there. It was like, he goes, "Is it supposed to do this?" I was like, "I don't think so." And about that time, bless his heart, Seth showed up, and I'm like, man, I'm spent. I'm burnt, tired, number one. We're all exhausted. We've been up since, 5:00 in the morning. It's 7:00 at night. We're still going. And he goes, well, he grabs the hose. He goes, "First thing we're going to do is clean this mess up." and he hosed all the walls down, and we got that sorted, and then we processed the Malbec, and we were pretty dang tired. It was probably 11:00 at night, and we came up here. We had some friends friends of ours from Singapore, and they moved back to California. They came in for this, and we sat up there, my friend Bob, we sat up there, and his wife Monica and Karen, and we probably drank wine till about 2:30 in the morning and went to bed. And of course, at 7:00, we got to do that first pump over. We're all, and we were excited about doing it, but we weren't feeling as excited as we should feel because we're a little under the weather. So Bob and I are up on the ladder and we start the first pump over. Karen's over at getting the lab counter. She's going to check the pH and the bricks and check everything. And Bob and I, we're pumping over. I said, Bob, do you smell that? And he goes, yeah. I said, it smells like cherry pie filling. You know when you make cherry pie and you boil that, you bubble that little, and it has that sweet, dark cherry. I was like, man, it smells like cherry pie. And I hear Karen back, stop talking and just take the damn sample. So I was like, okay. So we took a sample and we give it to her. And she's over there and she's doing her stuff. And then I hear her say, tastes like cherry pie filling too. And so that's probably the best description of Malbec that I can give. It is incredibly fruit forward. Lots of cherry, lot of cherry.
Yeah, very intense.
Very intense. And that's just the terroir.
Yeah.
You know, Persos has a Malbec. His doesn't taste like that. We're 5 miles apart from each other. But it's just the difference in elevation, soil, climate, wind, all those things combined.
Yeah, the microclimate around here.
And so it creates a very unique. So and that's why I say it's hard if you're going to compete our Malbec against all this Argentinian Malbec. A judge can say, well, this isn't Malbec, right? But it is. It's just Texas Malbec, and so I think you have to judge the wine for how it tastes, not how you think it's supposed to taste.
Well, I love your story, but we got two of the people here that
I know.
I know they're sitting there like, he is not going to let us talk.
No, we're fine.
Let's start from the end here.
Donnie.
Don, yes.
yeah.
I just went blank. So Don, how did you get into wine? I mean, you just didn't wake up and say, hey, I want to be a GM for wine.
Yeah, so I've been before the wine, before I started at Tor Na Lochs, actually, I was in the restaurant business for about 27 years. Managed restaurant, GM restaurant, owned restaurants, and I really liked the beverage side of the restaurants, and particularly the wine. So most restaurants I did work for, I had a part in creating the wine list, and just had a passion for the wine business, the beverage side, and it starts back again at Persos again too.
Yeah.
So Blake and I was in another business, and then worked really hard. I was traveling a lot. I actually worked in San Antonio, living in this area every day, and then wife and I, there was this wine tasting event. Was it Texas Wine Growers?
It was Texas Wine Growers.
Texas Wine Growers
at Persos.
At Persos, and wife really wanted to go to this event, and I was really exhausted, but we ended up going, and a lot of different wineries were there, and Blake was there, and I never knew Tor Na Lochs existed, actually. Living in this area, I'd never been here before, and introduced Blake and I. We introduced. We just hit it off right away, and Blake's like, "Why don't you come see me at the winery? I'd love to show you the place and show you around." And man, I had no idea this place existed. It was beautiful. The place was actually busy when I showed up. It had a really good vibe, really good feeling, and we interviewed right there, and that was it. So this was a perfect spot for me. So
I think the only downside for you was your start date was like May of 2020. Well, we were closed because of COVID.
No, the start date was actually in March.
March of 2020.
And then COVID happened right there, everything got shut down. And so I really didn't start till May of 2020.
Okay.
And so really just was waiting to start. So that was an interesting year, interesting time. But totally fell in love with the wine business and Tor Na Lochs, Texas wines, and
Nice.
And here we are. So
Nice. Well, Colby, how did you get into wine? I mean, obviously, being the winemaker now. How did you do it? I mean, what were you doing before you decided to become a winemaker?
Growing up,
how old were you again?
I'm 25.
Does he have a permit? I just had to ask because I see a little bit of age difference. I had to ask,
We ask him that every day. It's kind of a thing.
Sorry, they actually put me up to it, by the way. No, I'm just sorry, go ahead.
Growing up, my parents always liked wine, so wine was always around. And even when I was younger, they were kind of on their wine journey because they started off buying $20 bottles, $30 bottles, and then they'd splurge and get a $40 bottle or something like that. So it was always something I was around. I was kind of from a young age learning with them. Not that I was drinking wine necessarily, but I was just around it. And it wasn't until I went to Texas Tech and I was studying horticulture, but at the time I didn't really know what exactly I wanted to do, be some kind of farming, I don't know. So I'm back for summer break in my between sophomore and junior year, and I'm with my dad. They're members out at William Chris. And so I went with him to go pick up their shipment, and we were just talking in the car, and he's like, maybe you should see if you can get a summer job here, you work out in the vineyard there. And so we're in the tasting room, we're looking around, who can we talk to, to see about getting a job? And so we go up to somebody and we're like, hey, I'd really be interested in just having an internship for the summer, kind of see what this is all like. And he's like, yeah, here's my number, call me when you're getting ready to come back. For your full break, because I think it was, I don't know, maybe winter break or something before summer actually started. Little did I know I was talking to the winemaker. I thought I was talking to somebody running the vineyard. So I start my internship on the wine side, dragging hoses, cleaning pumps, cleaning tanks, doing all the grunt work,
stuff.
Kind of building some of those fundamentals. I didn't really, other than just some basic stuff of doing pump overs, why do we need to do this? I didn't really get a full understanding of the winemaking because, of course, they're a huge winery, so it's just a lot of grunt work to be done. As that time kind of drew to an end, that 3 months of summer, I was going back up to school, and one of the owners, Chris Brundrett, of course, knows Kim McPherson of McPherson Cellars because they've both been in the industry for a long time. So he gives him a call, and he's like, hey, I got a guy who's going to be coming up there for school, can you give him an internship? And he's like, well, I guess, If y'all have ever met Kim McPherson, you can imagine how he might say that. But so he allows me to go up and work for them while I'm finishing my last 2 years at Texas Tech. And so I did, and they're a lot smaller. They're on a much smaller crew. And so I'm just working directly with Kim and their winemaker, Spencer, all day. And they're two guys who work in the cellar. And so there I kind of got to do more of everything as far as understanding more about the winemaking. Spencer would be like, hey, run this stuff in the lab and, do all that kind of stuff. So I kind of brought a broader range of knowledge there. And they have... it's actually a historical site now, Sagamore Vineyards, which is Kim McPherson's dad and Robert Reed, who are both professors at Texas Tech, started Sagamore back in, the 60s or 70s or so. And so, I'm working with they had some cab vines out there that were tree trunks. They were huge. That's all since been replanted now, but I got a little bit of vineyard experience there, and then upon graduation at Tech, I know Kim still helps us facilitate some of our harvesting and stuff like that. So Blake was up for an engineering thing with Texas Tech, and he decided to drop in. It was the end of the day. I think it was the last week of school. I was in the corner just on my phone looking at whatever, and Blake was talking business with Kim and Spencer, and he turns to me, he's like, hey, you want a job? I kind of look up, I'm like, huh? What are you talking about? And so he offered it to me, and I grew up in the hill country. My folks still live an hour away, so I was going to be down here anyway. And so it took me a little bit of thought, and
it was Spencer persuading you that it was the right decision.
Probably. And I think, so I've been here now for over 3.5 years, and I think it certainly was the best decision. I get to do the best of both in that I'm partly managing the vineyard as well as the cellar work, and we're coming from a place like Will and Chris, they're huge, it's to McPherson, they're kind of in that mid-range, to here where, now I'm going out to the vineyard and then come inside and get to interact with the guests and the members and all of that too. So it's a more fully rounded out, fleshed out kind of experience here.
So I'm going to give you a little hard time now.
Okay.
So you've been here for 3 years?
3.5 or so.
3.5 or so. Okay, so wait a minute. So you were not even 21 yet legal to drink?
When I first started in the wine industry, no, I was not.
So wait a minute. So how are you tasting the wines?
Well,
I think you were 21 when you started working.
I checked his
Here
ID
I was.
thoroughly.
Yeah.
Check to make sure it's a fake. So I have to get, because most of the people are, when they finally decide they want to do wine, they're not 21, 22. They're like 30s and 40s when they finally decide they're going to make wine. And so it's awesome to see a young person, a younger generation, picking up the helm and saying, hey, I want to make wine with these people who've been doing it for 40, 50 years now. So you're going to get a little hard time out of it. So, all right. So out of everything y'all do here, what style did y'all end up laying on that this is the style that we like to make out of our wines?
You looking at me?
Yeah, I would say mainly it tends to skew more towards like that Australian style, more fruit forward, kind of not super tannic, nice round, smooth.
Let the grape talk.
Yeah, not over oaked,
not
nothing
over
like
oaked.
that.
See, and I respect that because I feel like all grapes should actually speak for itself. It shouldn't be heavy oak. You need to sometimes oak it a little bit to kind of get some weird obscure stuff out of it. But let the grape talk for itself because it talks about the soil and it talks about the terroir that it's been grown into. I love that you're doing that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So go ahead.
No, I was just going to say that was our style. If you can go to our webpage, it still says that we let the fruit do the talking and let the wines be more fruit forward. And again, our goal or model, not goal, from the beginning was 100% Texas. We just said 100% Texas 100% of the time. And we always say come to Tor Na Lochs for a truly Texas wine experience, overlooking the hill country. You saw the longhorn camels running around. This is inside a working cattle ranch, So when we have the sign on the way and it says, don't get out of the car till you get to the parking lot, we mean it.
Yeah.
Yeah, those longhorns don't mess around.
Yeah.
I've seen some of them chasing people down before.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go to you now, Don.
Sure.
So when you decided to start working here, what was the most exciting part? And then also, what's the most unexciting part that you've already found about working here? Like you wake up and you're like, oh, today is that day I get to do this. And then today is like, oh, crap, I have to get out of bed for this. Do we need to explain to leave out?
No.
Yeah, I'm excited for the answer, Donnie.
No, it was, when I first did the interview and was seeing, the hospitality and the feel of the place. I'm not just looking, I'm interviewing with Blake and Karen, but I'm going to take, and actually, it was kind of funny. They asked, would you like a glass of wine? Like during the interview. And I'm like, okay, I don't know what. Should I get a glass of wine or not?
Is it a test?
That was actually a test there.
Because I worked for corporate restaurants and other things. So I'm like, okay, yes, I'll have a glass of wine. So I think that was the right decision.
Yeah.
But I was just watching how the staff worked and how they were interacting with customers and guests and just how everybody was just interacting. And you can tell if a restaurant is run or a winery is run well if you can see people's faces. And if they're happy and they're really excited about where they work, and that's all I saw. I was like, man, this is really exciting because I can see everybody's having a good time.
Right.
Yeah, we try not to be too technical, and we're just trying to. It's just a family atmosphere, and all the servers came up to me and it was just so friendly. So I was just like, yeah, this is my type of place. I would love to work here. So.
Awesome. So every day you wake up, you're like, yes, I get to go to work.
Yeah.
And drink wine.
Oh yeah. It's a great job and you can't have it.
Well, I don't know if I could do that. It's a 4-hour drive for me to come down here, so I don't know if he was going to pay me a lot of money for that one. So what are the things that you like? You wake up and you're like, oh, I got to get up and do this, and I don't want to.
Man, I don't know. I really enjoy my job. It's hard. It's a hard question.
Do I need to explain the leaf so he?
No. I mean,
you and I both know. You're coming into a business like this, it's rewarding looking at the people when you pour them glass and you talk to them and you interact with them and you see them having a good time. Because I mean, I've worked in a tasting room myself. Everybody knows that, and that's a reward there. And then it's even more reward if you can talk to them and kind of slightly educate them a little bit, because people absorb that, and then they're like, "I did not know that about wine." That's the most rewarding part of it for me.
Yeah, we're teaching. Like you said, with like Colby being the younger crowd, we're teaching the younger crowd about wine. We're teaching everyone about Tor Na Lochs and our wines and what we're doing, and it's every day I get to interact with customers and guests and teach them about what we're doing here and exciting. So I mean, I really great job. I talk to my wife all the time, and she's like, "Oh, we got lucky getting this job." I'm like, I know.
Oh.
So Blake and Karen say the same thing, but it's just a fun working environment. We have a lot of aspects to the to the winery with the members and guests, and a nice open patio. It's just so many variables here, which just adds to the experience, the components, and
So Colby, same question.
Best and worst.
What is the best thing you wake up in the morning like, yes, I get to go to work today and I get to do this? And then what's the other one that you're like, oh man, I got to get up and I have to go do this. I dread this. I don't want to get out of bed for this.
I mean, I guess one of the best things is it's always just kind of, I find it fun to see how the wines evolve as we go through the year. So like now we're pulling stuff out of barrels that's been put in there, a year ago. So after all of that work that we put into from harvest to processing to barreling, and after a year, I get to taste something and be like, wow, this is really good. And I think that's one of the best things, is just the satisfaction from all of the hard work that you put into doing something. I say this sometimes, but it's a dream job most of the time, because there's a lot of hard work and long days involved. Like with what Blake said when they were kind of getting the place started, some of those harvest days are just, you got to get up early and you got to go until you get it done. You can't stop and leave it. You have to be dedicated to doing it. I would say that's not the worst part. It's just part of the job. It's just the amount of work that you have to put in.
Especially in that middle of that summer heat in August. You got to get up early so you can get it all done before the next sunrise. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yep. Been there, done that. I definitely know how that feels.
I'm surprised. I thought for me, worst damn thing's putting bird nets on.
Yep.
I hate putting bird nets on.
Donnie now. There's that one thing, but no, it's actually, I don't mind putting them on. It's the tying the nets.
The 10,000 squats.
Tying nets on. Yeah, I'm not a fan of that.
Look at it this way. You know what? If you want to go ahead and finish it off, start a burpee out and tie it up, come back up, go back down, tie it up.
I know.
Get your exercise in.
I've got something to do that day. I know.
Well, so my mom actually made a good point here. Some people don't know what bird netting is. So one of y'all want to explain what bird netting is?
So
we got him out of his shell.
Obviously, one of the main mechanisms for grape reproduction is getting birds to eat them. They're very attractive to birds. So we have to put nets on once they reach a certain point of maturity, once they start to turn red and get really sweet. Otherwise, the birds will just come in and decimate the whole crop, and then all your work will have been for nothing. So there's a couple different types of nets. Some are left on the trellis year round, and you kind of just put them up and tie them at the top and the bottom. But the ones we use come on a big spool, attach it to the tractor, and kind of just go down the row with the spool and somebody on either side draping this big net over the top of the whole thing. Pull it tight, tie it so birds can't get in, critters can't get in.
Except coons.
Raccoons are pretty smart. They can untie the thing and get up in there.
They have hands.
Yeah, they have disposable thumbs.
Everybody thinks raccoons are cute, and I don't.
Yeah, they're cute when they're laying on the ground.
One raccoon in one night can eat a case of wine's worth of grapes in one night per raccoon.
Mm-hmm. Well, I know that I was talking to Lisa over at Diamond Vineyards, and she had a family of coons in her property.
Yeah.
And she said they decimated quite a bit of her stuff.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And I was struggling. It's kind of a sidebar story, and you can edit it out if you want. Fine. So I like I said, I worked in the oil industry, and I went and saw one of my customers one day. Of course, most of them knew that we had this vineyard going, and he asked me how things were going. I said, man, these raccoons are just tearing me up. I can't. We try and trapping them. We're trying, And he's like, he said, Blake, I got 3 Blakes in my life. You're one of them. But I got another Blake, and he can solve your varmint problem. He says, I'm going to put him in touch with you. And so out of the blue, I get a call from this guy. He says, is this Blake? And I said, yeah. He says, Mr. Jim said you had a coon problem. I said, yeah, I do. He says, I'm in Sealy right now, or in Katy right now, so near Houston. He says, I'll be there about 8 o'clock tonight. And so he drove up, and he walks in the tasting room, and he's got him and a buddy, and he's wearing this T-shirt, and it had MFK in big letters on it, on his T-shirt. And I was like, what is M? I'm trying to think, what company is MFK? And then when you got close enough to the bottom, you could see it said made for killing. And so he came out and
he's a character.
Yeah, he was a character, and he decimated the coons. But he also taught me how to, it was so funny. He's like these coons, they're not here for the grapes. He said, they're living around here. You got water around here. It's like, well, yeah, we got a little retention pond down there. We use it for, for a water source if we have to, not for irrigation water. And he goes, well, is there a shelter around there? It's like, well, we've been kind of derelict in burning our cuttings from previous years. So there's like 2 years worth of grapevine cuttings, in a big pile out there. And he just looked at me. He goes, like, you've made a condominium. So now we're very diligent about, when we're done, we burn those cuttings down so that there's no place for the coons to live. And we haven't had as much of a problem, but that year it was pretty bad.
Yeah, that's funny. So talk about the netting then. So besides using it for birds, are there another reason for netting, like hail?
The type of netting we use doesn't really protect against hail. Mm-hmm. If it wouldn't really do very much. It'd just get torn up. There is hail-specific netting. This year, we did get hailed out. We had about 2.5 hours of like almost golf ball-sized hail that just sat over us. And yeah, I don't think, even if we had hail netting, I'm not sure if that would have really done anything. But in a typical year, that's not something we usually have to worry about. So bird netting suits us well.
Okay.
A lot of our growers in the high plains might use hail netting just because, they have a lot more at stake. Yeah. They have huge vineyards as well as more prone to getting hail up there. Right. But no, we don't use any hail netting.
Nice.
So we made the best of what we could get out of that vineyard for 2025. So we lost 90% of the fruit. So we had about a 10% harvest. And interesting, it basically de-leaved the vines. They were just sticks. And to survive, we'd already tipped and the shoots and stuff. So the vines just shot a bunch of laterals to create leaf area. And with those laterals, it set a second crop of fruit. And so we debated, what are we going to do? And, smartly or dumbly, we ended up harvesting the vineyard twice. We harvested once the primary crop.
What was left of it.
Mm-hmm. And then because as we showed you earlier, we got a small batch sparkling wine program. Well, when you harvest sparkling wine, you harvest it early, about 18 bricks. And so we went and harvested that second crop like we were making a sparkling. We harvested it early, and we have the cuvee, the base wine, for a estate rosé sparkling wine. So we'll be doing the tirage on that probably the end of this month, I would guess. So it's kind of making the best of both worlds. The Syrah the fruit was pretty beat up, was not anything to write home about. So we said, well, Colby said, let's make an estate rosé. So we made just got our labels approved, and we're making an estate Syrah rosé, and we gave it the fanciful name "Hail to the Rosé." And then
That's nice.
And then the Malbec and Petite Syrah, what did we make? About 3 barrels or so, plus a little bit.
Yeah. We're going to have a couple unique wines.
Yeah, so we made a Malbec Petite Syrah blend, and I think we're going to call that Hail Yeah. So, because it's such a small amount, you're like, why did we even burn the energy with it? But, that's what we got. And that's one of the cool things about wine, I think. That's the story. That's the story of that year. And every year has a story. We open some wines and we're tasting. It's like, man, do you taste that? And Karen's like, you remember this year? It got over 100 degrees on March 5th, and it was 100 on May 5th, and it was 100 till September, right? And, and that's just the story. It doesn't have as much color because it ripens so much faster because there's so much heat, and the phenolics didn't develop, and but the fruit's ripe, and I don't know. To me, that's one of the cool things of Texas wine is every year is different, and every year tells a story of the climate that surrounded it.
Well, and I'm gonna say this one little word about California. I mean, I don't like to kind of slam on California, but people, when they go get wine at the grocery store, a lot of those wineries, they bring them back down to a particular level and bring them back up. And that's why your 2018 wines taste just like your 2021 wines. You don't get to taste the different seasons and the different years. You don't get to taste the terroir. You don't get to taste what happened that year. And that's one of the reasons why I tell a lot of people that come in that are from California. They're like, oh, I don't like Texas wines. I said, well, do you like tasting the same stuff every day, or do you like to taste something different every year? And they're like, I do like tasting something different. I said, well, that's what Texas wine's all about. You get to taste every year because it's something new. It's something different. So, and when people start understanding it, and I also tell them, I said, forget everything you know about wines from other regions, California, Oregon, Washington, Australia, Old World. Forget what you know about that, because Texas is nothing like any of those regions. And when they do that, they had that aha moment. And that's what I like to see. I love seeing that aha moment. They're like, okay, I get what you're saying now. So, yeah, I like tasting wine like that, where you only have a small batch and you get a taste like, oh, I remember this and this during that harvest time. Like Edge of the Lakes Hogwash for 2023 has some of my DNA in it.
I don't know if I want to try that, but thanks for the warning.
Thanks for that.
Oh yeah, that was pretty comical. He said that he knew I was going to be the first one to cut my finger. So yeah, it is what it is. So tell our listeners, is there anything else you want to talk about?
So there's one thing. So you got two of our full-time employees here, in Donnie and Colby, and then the third is Jessica Horn, who runs she's our events coordinator and wine club manager, and Karen's right-hand person. So she works up in the office most of the time. And so, if you ask me what do I wake up and look forward to doing, I look forward to interacting with these great people that work for us. And one of the struggles that Karen and I've had is, Donnie, he's only got 4 kids, and
Only.
Yeah. And Colby, he'll be 26 soon, so he's going to be off his parents' insurance, and and so we're like, we're a small business. We can't afford insurance programs. We don't have all this stuff. And so we were struggling with what can we do to provide some benefit for these people. So what you'll see here at Tor Na Lochs, we have our main brand, but then we created a second wine brand, second label, and it's called Core Wine, Core. And that wine label is actually owned by our full-time employees.
Oh.
And most recently, surprise to us, because we missed it on the Fort Worth Livestock Show Rodeo, the wine competition. We did submit the Core Rosé. It's a Grenache Rosé. And it only won a gold medal in best in class, not best in Texas, best in class rosé for that wine. So only,
yeah, big old belt buckle.
Big old belt. I was sure Colby was going to be wearing it today. I was certain of that. But
I mean, everyone makes a rosé.
Yeah.
So this is a big.
Yeah. So that was a big deal. But for us, it's I always tell our wine club members, like, look, this wine is, supports them. They get the proceed, they split the gross profits of that. And that's part of their bonus incentive, for working here. And it helps them, pay for that insurance or whatever it is that they need or want or desire. I mean, and so we're really happy to do it. I think it turned out to be a clever way to be able to, utilize what we can do internally to create a benefit for them. But I'm always cautious to tell our wine club members, I'm not asking you to buy one core wine instead of a Tor Na Lochs line. I'm asking you to dig a little deeper, buy an extra bottle of wine to support the people that are helping give you the experience here.
That's awesome.
And that's, Donnie made the comment, about the hospitality here. I can tell you from early on, Karen says, I want people to feel like they came into my living room. That's what I want people to feel like, that it's warm and welcoming and we're engaging. We do table service. You do a tasting, we come to you at the table. And all of our servers, they talk about each wine. And that's one of the, if there's probably a hard part for Donnie, it's getting a new server and get them trained up to be able to talk about the wine and make it personal. Like, I particularly like to drink this wine if I'm eating this, and make it their story, not our story. But
we don't really have to give them a script or anything. We're not too technical. It's like everyone has their own spiel on the tasting. I give them notes and stuff to say, but they can say however they want it. I didn't want that robot server.
Right.
I didn't want to have. I want my servers to listen to the guest and find out what kind of wines they like, and then just give them more be sweet or dry, or kind of lead them toward getting the right glass of wine in their glass. Right. And so it's just kind of it's that family. Your guests in our home, make yourself at home, and just that atmosphere is what we like to do here.
Nice, I like that. Was there anything else y'all want to talk about? Any topics? Anything you're proud about? No?
I would just say that in the vineyard, we and Colby could probably speak this more. He's just being bashful, but
is he like this? If he starts drinking a little bit of wine, does he kind of open up?
We always say Colby's a man of few words, so he's very judicious in his use. But we do spend a lot of energy in the vineyard, more on the biodynamic side. We try to minimize our use of pesticides and herbicides and fungicides. We have an ozone sprayer that we ozonate water, and we try and spray, to keep things back. But, with the humidity here, you can't do nothing. You have to use some fungicides, but we try and mitigate our use of those. But the other thing we do is, our fertilization is with fish emulsion and seaweed, and we put compost down every other year down the vine rows and till that in. And so we're trying to create grapes from the soil, that's how it works.
Right.
But we're spending a lot of energy on the soil, improving the soil health for the plants, and I'm going to say it's more sustainable, although there's no real definition of what is truly sustainable yet. I think there's some programs working on that, but we're not organic. But we just try and mitigate our use there. And I think it pays off in the fruit quality. It just and good fruit makes good wine. Yeah.
So, a question that just came to my head, and I never really thought about this until literally just now. When you're using the compost, how much does that actually affect the way the grape tastes? And do y'all actually choose a different compost for achieving a different taste in the grapes if that does?
I don't know that I think it's more on the vigor of the plant, right? It's about plant health.
And soil health.
And it's about soil health, which, the compost feeds the microbes that help break down, and that releases nitrogen and other things that help the plant. He's the horticulturist. You should jump in there.
If anything, that the compost just improves soil health. Better soil means that if you have fungus that can facilitate, like you said, when they planted the vines, they dip them in that mycorrhizae. That kind of facilitates the transfer of nutrients that the plants otherwise couldn't have.
Okay.
So they would be bound in the soil. So having healthy soil just makes the plants themselves happier, leading to better quality fruit, better tasting.
Okay.
Hopefully.
Interesting. Okay. So when you brought that up, that's just something I just thought, okay, well, does the compost actually change the way the fruit tastes? If you use
I think it does, but it's not the compost directly. I think it's the effects that the compost has in the soil has an impact on the quality of the fruit and makes,
Interesting. Okay, so let's talk about where people can find you on social media and on the web, and talk a little bit about your wine club also, wine club membership.
Yeah, so our website is tornalochs.com.
Okay.
A great website. We just revamped it. And then we're located here in Burnett, Texas, West State Highway 29, 7055. And then
Wine club.
Facebook and Instagram as well.
Yeah, sorry.
Tor Na Lochs.
It's keeping you on the toes.
What else? Yeah, Facebook. We're on Facebook, Instagram. Please follow us if you want to come check us out. We don't really take reservations, so it's kind of just come on in. We do table service in the patio, inside, anywhere you want. If you do have a large party, like 7 or 8 people, we do recommend reservation. But otherwise, just come on in. We are open, every day except for Monday. So we're open from 12 to 5, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and then 12 to 6 on Friday and Saturday.
Okay.
Our wine club, our wine club is it's a great wine club. We're not a very big winery, and the wine club's not very big. So we have 3 different levels of the wine club. So there's 3 bottles, 6 bottle, or 9 bottle. Each have different, discounts and stuff to be a part of the club. But coming to some of the cool features of the wine club is some of the areas that you have access to, like the place we're in now. If you're a part of the wine club, you can, on the weekends, this place is open to dine and see the beautiful views. It's called our course lounge. We also have a gazebo on the hill that's also for members. It seats about 12 people. It has 360 views of the property. And it's just like I said about family and friends, it's really sometimes, even as of yesterday, I think everybody that came in yesterday was a member, and it was like Cheers. It felt like that Cheers atmosphere. I go up to every table, everybody knows everybody, and it's just that fun, cool environment.
It's always cool. It's always cool to have that.
I mean, it's fair. We actually limit the size of our wine club, and right now, for the last 3 years, I guess, our wine club is on a wait list.
Wow.
Because 2 things. I told you it's a retirement project, and I don't want to work that hard to make more wine. So bigger wine club, more wine. So, but the more important part is, it's the hospitality. I want, we may not remember your exact name, but we want to know we want to be able to visually say, oh, that's a wine club member. That's a wine club member. And Donnie is really, really good about, he remembers their names, and Karen as well. They're both better at that than I am. But it's about that personal interaction and making a wine club pickup party a party that you can enjoy, because it's not 1,000 people there, and so that's why the wine club is structured the way it is.
Well, just to make sure every member has a seat, and like I said, remember your name, remember your face, and every wine club member is very important to us. So nice. That's why we do it.
Nice. I like that. Well, we're going to take a little 5-minute break, because I know we probably all need a little restroom time. But we'll come back. We'll do a little quick 15-minute on wine education, and then we'll wrap the show up. Okay?
All right.
Hi, this is Eric Beyer of Old Vine, Texas, your premier Texas wine tasting room in DFW, featuring 100% Texas wineries from all over the state. We are located at 403 East Broad Street in Mansfield, Texas, inside of the Ancora Event Center. We have weekly tastings, charcuterie, pizza, plenty of wines by the glass, and live music. Our wine club brings you an extended taste of Texas and other great perks. You can visit our website at oldvinetexas.com to sign up for our newsletter, check our open hours, and see special events and classes and more. Or you can find us on Facebook and Instagram at Old Vine, Texas. We'll see you soon.
Welcome everybody back to We Know Texas Vino. This is the best part of the show outside of the interview episode, is doing wine education. I actually got a compliment the other day from some random people that found out who I was. They love listening to the show because of the education, because they get to learn a little bit more about wine that they didn't know before. So I know toward the end of 2024, I kind of got slipped out of that. And for 2025, for season 4, I'm going to try to get back into it. I'm going to try to make it more topic oriented, so that way people can understand more stuff. So one of the questions I got the other day was, why does wines taste sweet when they say dry? So let's talk about the first word, dry. What does dry mean? So let's start with that. What does the word dry mean in wine?
Just means that it doesn't have sugar content, or if it does, it has such a minuscule amount that it is still considered to be a dry wine.
Correct. That's 100%. When I tell people that, they look at me like I'm crazy. And I said, it doesn't mean about mouthfeel or the finish, because that's a tannic finish. Well, and that's a whole different topic. That's a whole different way of talking about things. But the best way I describe tannins is drinking Whataburger tea. That is the best way I can describe tannins to people. And Texan people understand that part. So people who are out of state doesn't understand it. So, all right. Now with the word dry, meaning 0 sugar or less than 1% residual sugar in it?
I think so. Yeah.
Okay. So why do some wines, specifically like rosés, because this is where I see it a lot, it's in rosés, but why do some wines taste sweet? And even though it says dry on the bottle.
Well, I think you do a lot of tasting with your nose first and foremost.
Mm-hmm.
When you hold that glass up to you, especially something like a rosé, say it's super aromatic and fruity, you're already getting that all up in your face. And once you take a sip, like a rosé doesn't have any tannins. And if it does, they're very soft. So it feels kind of smooth going down. And that's where the smell, along with the lack of tannins, or say in a red wine, if you have really smooth, velvety tannins, you can get the same kind of perception. That's where you might think it's sweet, just from the aroma and then the texture of the wine.
Okay. And some of the things that I've heard, and I haven't done really a lot of research on this because I haven't been to the point where I'm ready to make a rosé yet for myself, but I've heard that it was just the perfect equal balance also of acidity to what the fruit is. Now, I haven't done my research on that, so I don't know. So does some of the acidity actually play a part into how that perceives the sweetness? And you can correct me if I'm wrong, because I'm learning about this as myself.
No, I would say so. So like take our Malvasia Bianca. It's a still white wine that we make. It's super fruity. It smells like you're smelling a box of like Fruity Pebbles. It's crazy.
It's like honeysuckle.
Yeah.
Honeysuckle. And
it has a very low acidity to it too. So it doesn't like sucker punch you like lemon juice does. So when you drink that, and that's a dry wine, it is so round because it doesn't have a lot of acidity to cut through it, where it tastes almost like a sweeter wine would taste like. For some of the more acidic wines, it may just kind of alter the type of fruit that it might taste like, even if it still is dry, I guess. I don't know,
I got you. Now, I will have to say one thing, and I'm going to have to give you a hard time about this. Fruity Pebbles. For all the things in the world.
That's just what comes to mind. It's so intensely fruity. It's crazy.
Okay.
Well, we have a
Banderog,
we got a Sangiovese rosé. We call it Banderog, which so we have like a house white and house red, a blend, Fiandarog and Fiangal. And those are Gaelic words, and one means white wine and one means red wine in Gaelic.
It's very fancy.
Very fancy. And so then we said, well, we want to do a rosé. Can we make it's interesting what would be rosé in Gaelic, which there's no rosé, but there's light red or pink, which is Ban Darag, because Darag is red and Ban means light, so light red. So, and we make that wine from Sangiovese. And the first time we made a rosé from Sangiovese, I tasted it and I looked at Karen and says, watermelon Jolly Rancher. It's a watermelon. And she says, we cannot put that on the tasting notes. It's like, that's what it smells like. It's what it tastes like. And it's totally dry.
Oh, that's funny. Remind me to tell you a story outside of this because I don't want it recorded. And it has to do with gummy bears, okay? All right. Well, thank you for that little education part. Again, like I said, I try to do something simple. One of the things I found about education for people who are still understanding wines or wanting to understand wines, if you talk it to them in the most simplistic form, they understand it. Because us four can sit here and talk about it, and we can get into the weeds, talking about the chemical balance of it, and how this over here will work with this kind of oak, or this will work in the stainless steel. We can get talking about that. But when you start talking about that to the wine drinkers, they'll glass over and they have no clue what you're talking about. And so one of the things I like to do is have a conversation of education that's very simple for them to understand. So that way they can understand it and they can become a better wine drinker and better educate their palates. So I appreciate that. Well, real quick, before we take off and end this show here, we're going to talk about my sponsors. So the first one is the Texas Wine Lover. Obviously, y'all are on that. Great little application. People, you can get on to your mobile phone, you can get on your desktop and go to Texas Wine Lover, and you can find Tor Na Lochs on there and actually find out their times, what kind of events they're having, and even get addresses here. It's a great little application, and you can even find all the little wineries in this area, so you can maximize your wine drinking experience. That's what I like to call it, just maximizing it. So, and then my second one, and y'all know who these are, and when I say it, you'll definitely know who it is. Oh, holy crap, I just went blank. He's going to kill me if I said this. Old Vine, Texas.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, see? Old Vine, Texas brings in and spotlights hill country wines in the North Texas region. So for the people who don't want to drive 4 hours, they can drive 45 minutes to Mansfield and actually drink hill country wine without having to come down here to the hill country, which is a great option. I really love what he does. And Eric and Emily are some good friends of mine, and there's always people. I always send them down there especially if they live in like Waxahachie or Midlothian or Grand Prairie. I always send them over there, and then Eric and Emily always calls me up or text me, hey, this person came in here and said you referenced them here. So I love doing that. I want people to experience what Hill Country has if they don't want to make that trip down here.
And they have several of our varietals there.
Yeah.
So
and
they support us pretty well.
They told me I need to come out here, and this is long before we met over at the Texas Wine Growers.
Yeah, wine growers at their place.
Yeah, at their place, and they told me I need to come here, and so here I am. We're staying at Horseshoe Bay, getting ready for the wine symposium, and I was like, why not? This would be a great time to do this. So I'm excited. Thank y'all for having us here. It's been a definitely interesting journey, especially getting to walk around, take a tour of your place, and get to see outside and We're going to sit outside here a little bit and have some wine.
And you can have lunch because we do have a full kitchen with the chef and the whole deal. So, and today's pizza day. So,
pizza day.
Yeah, we got.
We didn't talk about the food. We have a full kitchen in the back.
Ooh, well, you got
Pizzas.
It's still your show. It's still your time. We'll talk about that real quick. Go ahead if you want to talk about
sure. So, yeah. So interesting. Back in 2020, when the COVID happened, we had to, before 2020, we just did cheese plates or charcuterie plates, and then in order for us to be open and not be considered a bar, we had to have more food.
Yep.
Well, it took off, and everybody loved it.
Mm-hmm.
And this area doesn't have much food options, so it's kind of funny. We started on prep tables, then we had to get more space than that.
Mm-hmm.
It was actually in the processing room, and then we actually bought a trailer, and then it got
food trailer,
and then that got too hot, and then in August months, and then we made a kitchen out of Cairnberries where she parked her truck.
Okay.
In a car bay. So we have a full kitchen. So we do pizzas, charcuterie, nice shareables like baked brie, hummus.
Salad.
Okay, you do know we had another winery we have to go to after
Next time. Pizza. So it's just been just an added element. Everyone loves the food. That's just the wine, but just another amenity to enjoy your wine with some food. And we do cheese pairings, and we try to do much as local as we can. A lot of local, chocolates from Marble Falls, olive oil from Marble Falls, from the Old Tap, Brothers Bakery in Marble Falls, and Lano's has a meat market which we get their meats and cheeses from. And then we just started Fane's Honey. So we're all about supporting local businesses, and you'll see it on in the food.
Nice, that's awesome. I like that. Well, we're going to go ahead and finish up the show here. We're going to do some Texas wine quotes, okay? And this is when I first started doing this show 3 years ago, I was just doing random wine quotes online, and I started running out of wine quotes. I didn't realize there was not that many wine quotes. So I turned to ChatGPT. I said, ChatGPT, create me some Texas wine specific quotes. And it spit me out like 3 pages of amazing quotes. And so now I had to go through and kind of pick one that actually kind of matches with who I'm going to be with. So I picked out 2 of them, and I hope these work perfectly for y'all, okay? So the first one is, Texas wine is bold as a cowboy and smooth as a Sunday porch swing.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a t-shirt right there. And then the last one here, I think this is really good also, is we don't chase trends here. We chase sunsets and pour Texas wine.
Wow.
I like that.
Very fitting.
Yeah, it is. So, this is Will.
Particularly since in the month of January and February, on a Friday and Saturday night, it's always a sunset event because the sun goes down before we close. And so you can watch the sunset right over the hills over there.
So we'll have to move to the hill country.
Might have to come back.
Hey,
We had some great sunsets here
Don't
last couple
forget,
days.
February is the day of love, so come get you some wine.
Oh, man. Well, we're going to go ahead and close this show out. We're going to go down here and enjoy some wine from here. So this is Will.
Donnie Damon.
Colby O'Brien.
And Blake Berry.
And this is We Know Texas Vino. Cheers.
Cheers.